Nice lid. Nice lid.
Lid? What's that mean? Lid?
Haircut, mate.
Oh, right. Oh, cheers. Thanks. That's the missus that's done that. We're on lockdown, so it's a nice, fresh.
That's tight, that is. That is tight.
Yeah, nice fade there. So, 3, 2, 1, action. Right. Welcome back to the Fontana podcast. We had Mr Josh Trigwell on last time, and it was such a great podcast that we had to have him back on. Again, if you've not listened to the first podcast with me and Josh, I do recommend you go back and listen to that one. But this one today is going to be on coping through lockdown 3. I know it's a lot of people are struggling just now, but me and Josh are going to, get into it, coping mechanisms, what we are doing, what we're advice we're giving our athletes to cope through this tough time. So, without further ado, Joshy boy, how you doing?
Very well, mate. Very well. A little bit tired from the session this morning, but all in all, mate, healthy, good, positive.
That's it. And last podcast you did say that when lockdown 3 was coming in, you were not allowed to travel to go home and see your family for Christmas or New Year. Is that still the case at the moment?
Yeah, can't go anywhere. So thankfully, Luke, who I live with, he stayed behind. He was like, I'll stay with you for Christmas. So it's very, very nice of him. Owen actually went back to Ireland. But me and Luke had a great Christmas together. Just ate way too much food, had a couple of drinks here and there, listened to Drake, and got on our feelings. and his trains basically, mate. So it was actually quite a nice Christmas. Obviously, it'd be better to go home and see the family. But it goes for lots and lots of people at the moment. So it's been difficult, but that's why you got to sit together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is, we've got yourself who is sticking to the rules, and then there's other people having like house raves at New Year and just hating the spread of Corona, and you're just like, come on, guys, like, how easy is it just to listen? Like, do what you're told. I don't know if it's new society, a new generation, but it just seems like, I mean, I don't know if it's the UK. I don't know if we'll get that. Like, don't tell us what to do. Don't tell us what to do. So we'll do the complete opposite. Stay in your house. Nah, I'm going out. I'm having a party. Crawling over each other like hamsters, just giving each other COVID. But I mean, it's not just happening in England. It's not just happening in London. It's happening in Scotland. It's happening everywhere. People that just can't stick to the rules and just do what they're told. They're delaying the process of somebody like yourself, myself as well, like especially you being up in Teddington away from your family. You couldn't get to your family for Christmas or New Year. Like, it's, people need to understand how selfish they're being to do that, to then prevent others from being able to have that little sort of 5-day Christmas window that they could have had. But because of people not listening, we scuppered that one. Did your parents send you your Christmas presents?
No.
No, just going to have a Christmas too.
We pretty much cancelled Christmas. Like, my dad's birthday's on January 1st. I sent him loads of liquor. And that was about it. So, but yeah, like, that's the thing. When you fall back on that comment about the people going to raves and stuff. I mean, you know me, like, I love to socialize and go for a few drinks myself. Like, my social life is so important to my running. Like, I need to have that balance between, I go and run, I go and train hard, and I compete, but I also need to have my friends, have a few beers, to let my hair down and just have a good time with people. But we're going through a time where, like, some of my the kids I coach, their parents, some of them are doctors and stuff, and I spoke to them prior to Christmas, and they were saying, Josh, it's getting seriously bad out there. And I said, what do you mean? So the ICU is completely full. They're opening up children's hospitals now to get patients in there. Some people have been treated in ambulances, and I was like, are you actually joking me? That's how serious it's getting. Like, I live in goddamn next to Bushy Park. I don't really see much of what's going on, but to hear it from her perspective, and she says to me, like, it's a proper war zone. You know what I mean? It is that bad. But because people aren't seeing it, and it's not being put on TV as much in terms of actually seeing the actual evidence of what it's like in hospitals. I mean, they are doing a bit better now in terms of you're seeing nurses and stuff being interviewed. But it's quite scary to kind of see the level of what it's got to,
Yeah, and I don't know if some of the UK or some of the world are sort of taking precedent from, you know, a lot of Americans think that this is a hoax. You know, there's a lot of, you know, that they think it's a fugazi and stuff like that, and you're just going, guys, like, the government wouldn't be actually shelling out their money to people to stay in their house, to do nothing, and at one point could crumble the economy.
Yeah.
A hoax. That just would not happen. So it's you know, I feel the reason I think I'm going on a wee bit about it is because I actually feel bad the fact that you can't actually go home and see your family.
Yeah, but it's the same for millions of people though. Like, and in the end, like, the way I look at it is like, my family's healthy. Like, my mum's recovering from cancer, which is great. Like, she's pretty much on the mend, which is amazing. Like, my dad's healthy, my cousins, my aunties are healthy. Like, everyone's good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could be at home. My mum could have coronavirus. My dad could be in a really bad place, but everyone's healthy. So you got to find the silver lining. So my mum would say to me all the time, like, without everything that happens in life, find the silver lining. You gotta search for that. And that's really important. And so that's what we did as a family for Christmas. We're like, right, you can't get home, but we're healthy here. So lock yourself in and just be smart about things. So that's what we're doing.
Good man. That's what I like to hear. Like, you know, I don't know if you do it with your athletes and things, but, you know, if you've got like a Facebook group or anything like that, or a group chat where, you know, just sending them, if you're looking at things from a more positive point of view, you'll find that the opportunity in every difficulty instead of finding all the difficulties within. You know.
I mean, for me, like, I keep all my clients very individual. I know that there's other online running coaches who like to build a community, build a tribe. Whereas for me, I like to kind of keep it individual. I think that's very important to me. So I can, firstly, it's kind of having that one-to-one relationship with every single client for me is very, very important. And I just want to keep everyone. I mean, if they want to mix on Instagram, brilliant. Like, I don't really mind, but I'm not pushing towards that kind of community tribe, GLT. Like, this is our territory, and no one else can come inside of it. I don't want to do that. You know, I'm there to help people. If they want to run a marathon, run on a half marathon, whatever, they can come to me and I can set a plan. Off they go. In terms of kind of trying to create that positive attitude during this wild pandemic, it's going back to what I said in the previous podcast. It's just setting goals every 3 to 4 weeks. You know, keeping their mind ticking over. So a few of the clients, obviously, Christmas time is not the best of times of year in terms it reminds them of family, and they may have family issues and stuff and whatever. So it's quite a difficult time. And so for those people, I was setting lots of training, like lots of higher volume, but done in a safe manner. Lots of rehab stuff, lots of S&C stuff. So I was keeping their mind ticking, and we were doing like little goals every 3 to 4 days, essentially. Not like time trials, but just like adding volume here. That let's see how your body can cope with this. Let's see how your mind can cope with that. And so they're constantly engaged in the training. So off work, and so they have far more time to be in their heads. And so I utilize that time to be like, right, let's really engage you in the training for the next 2 or 3 weeks and see what we get out of it. And then it's like going to a training camp. You know, like they often say, you can always find 2 or 3% more in a training camp in a physical way. And that could be altitude training, or could be, you know, just a summer camp, you know, somewhere in Portugal. You can always get maybe some 1 or 2% more of an effect from your training. So I sort of took that into the Christmas period for my athletes. Like, okay, let's use this time now to really give it a little bit extra percent and see what we can get out of it. So focus on sleep, focus on your diet, focus on the hydration side of things. Look after your head when we're not training, and then just see what the end result could be mid-January time, which has been, you know, really good for a lot of them.
Yeah, so. Good man. And how's your training going?
It's going all right. I think we spoke a lot about it in the previous podcast, and obviously we spoke about it just before coming on here. For me right now, it's building that base. And I said to you, you know, I want to get to April time just physically really, really fit. You know, before jumping on here, you know, I did a 10-mile tempo at 5:16 average, you know, and I felt smooth. I felt comfortable. And so for me, it's like, if I can just get to April time, running, say, 10 miles at 5:10s and be able to pick up the last mile quite quick, and be able to sustain and hold, you know, my long runs for 20 miles, 22 miles, and utilizing my recovery time. I've actually put on a bit of timber, actually, believe it or not, because I've been doing so much calisthenics stuff like pull-ups, press-ups over the last 6 months. I've put on a few kg actually, which is really surprising, but I feel better for it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's going to help me at all. So when I see Craig, he might be like, right, lose that right now. And I'll be like, oh, but I've worked so hard to get here, and when I get time to lose it. But I feel like physically like really good.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, like I said, the main thing for me now in my head is to get to April time and be just so enormously fit that I can just be like an open book to Craig and just be like, look, I'm in great nick at the moment, so let's work with this right now.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, like we said, when you're injured, you take for granted that fitness. When you are fit and healthy, so I kind of want to take that mindset and be like, right, let's attack this. You know what I mean? So that's really important to me. You, how you getting on?
Yeah, good. You know, just little steps every week. This week I've done around 40 miles. I'll probably finish up at 40 miles this week. You know, not the typical 120, 100 mile a week sort of stuff that I love to do, but you know, it needs must. Making sure I'm on the bike, cross training on certain days, taking a lot more time to look after my body, because at the end of the day, like you're saying, it is, when you're injured, you're wishing you could be back, but when you're back and you're flying, you do take the position that I am in right now all for granted when you push that extra 5-10 seconds in your mile reps or your tempo. You know, and we were saying this on the last podcast, you know, this one really got to me because I tried my best to hold myself back, but you know, still shit hits the fan and life doesn't go your way all the time, and you've just got to, you know, reset, refocus, and you know, just deal with the hand that you're dealt with at that moment in time.
What if I just butt in there for like 1 second and tell you all, because we spoke after the podcast, the first one, because we just kept chatting for like half an hour about everything, and you got super emotional, didn't you? About the whole 10K, and I remember that you were just literally like visibly started getting a bit teary, and I was there going, wow, like really, like this is your passion, like through and through, like, you know what I mean, like you're so like, I didn't want to like walk away feeling bad about it, but I was just like, man, that is a passionate lad right there. If you need to see passion visually, do you know what I mean? So yeah. I was just like, oh,
I know.
Sorry, keep going.
No, like it's you know, there's lockdown 3, I think, and this is a topic, how to cope through lockdown 3. But you know, as an athlete, well, first and foremost, I'm a husband. Well, I'm a son, and then I'm a husband, and then I'm a dad to little Simba, and then I'm an athlete. Well, I'm a businessman with my personal training, online coaching, and then I'm an athlete, because basically, you know, I'm not in a position to be, I'm not that good at athletics at this moment in time to be paid for athletics. So that business has to take precedent to allow me to do that thing that I love to do as well. So that has to be in that, has to be a little bit higher up that priority list. This lockdown 3, at like when we go back, and you know, we're chatting in the first podcast where, you know, there's a lot of people out there that when they knew they were going back into lockdown, there's probably people actually going, yes, I'm getting furloughed, I'm going to stay in my house, and I'm actually going to get paid for doing nothing. There'll be some people that were like that because they actually hate their job that much. You know what I'm saying? They get to sleep in, they get to binge watch Netflix, binge watch Amazon Prime on their phone, Facebook, Instagram. And look, if people are wanting to do that, and that's what they, honestly, I've got nothing against it. But when I love walking into a gym and training people and connecting with people, and then also getting injured, 2 big things that I love in my life that aren't going the way I'd like them to go. And also I've lost, when I just done my taxes there, I've lost thousands of, because I fall through the cracks of the last self-employed people that would get furlough was if you'd done taxes in 2018 to 2019 and then were trading 2019 to 2020. I paid tax in 2019 to 2020, and then I'm trading 2020 to 2021. So I fall through the gap every single time there's a new furlough scheme out. So, you know, that's why I'm doing the online classes. I'm squat jumping, I'm lunge jumping around my house. I've got the wee, you know, thing for my YouTube videos and stuff here. I use this as my little studio. I've never been more injured in my entire life this year, but I've also not done as many classes in my life as I've done this year. And that's not to say that, like I said, business, got to pay the bills, got to pay the mortgage, the car, the council tax, put food in your belly, provide for the family. To the point where, business was going super well. I mean, really well. The point where I could afford a Mercedes, got a Merc, living the dream in terms of my little dream, my wee dream. Like when I was in Drum Chapel, you might not know what like Drum Chapel is, but it's like the Bronx, life expectancy is like 17 years old. just kidding. You see people taking drugs, alcoholics, smoking weed, like heroin. You see people, just junkies and all that walking around the street. It's not really safe for kids to be out there at certain times of night. Living in a council house, and then moved to Mary Hill, which is another. It's like the Bronx to the Bronx, but in a sort of maybe in a wee bit of a better environment, in terms of it's a little bit safer where I was living, but you go into the wrong areas, like I said on a YouTube channel, I've been chased by samurai swords, had to hide under a car at night because I was getting chased by a gang with knives, and they thought, like, if as soon as my jacket rustled, I thought, right, if they hear I'm under this car because I see their footsteps, they thought I was going to jump the fence. Then if they look under it, I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I was petrified. And so like, I went through a bit of, and one thing that I've always looked at is like one of my uncles who's quite successful in a business is a builder, my Uncle Doogie, and he has always had really nice cars. And I don't know if it's a guy thing. I don't know if it's a guy thing, and maybe ladies like a nice car as well, but it's always been my prerogative. Like when I'm successful, I want to have I want to make sure I can afford it first, and then I'll get it. But now there's a point, that was my wee treat for doing so well in my business, got a Merc. But now when things are getting this hard, I want to now sell that, because that doesn't make me happy. What makes me happy is providing for my family, paying the mortgage, paying the real bills, not having that. See, if I can't afford it, has to go, so lockdown has been really, really tough on me in that regard. So there's a lot of things, in the back burner where I'm just like, it's getting tough. I wanted to open up my own gym as well, but with the amount of money that the profits that I've taken a hit, that won't happen for quite a while as well. So when we're talking about, the 10K and me getting injured, I'm just like, I'm going, it's getting tough, it's getting really tough. And that's probably why, us chatting about coping mechanisms today for people who are probably, they're in a tough, like I'm talking about selling my car, and there's people probably out there that are sleeping in a sleeping bag under, a canal bridge, or, freezing to death on, a park bench somewhere. Like, I understand that I'm going through a tough time. I understand that you're going through a tough time. But like you said at the start, that perspective where you were saying about, I know that you can't see your family just now, but you understand that there's other people in worse positions. If you can take yourself there and keep that perspective, you'll do all right through this. Yeah, you'll have days where you struggle, like we all do. But I think that is when you can pull on the sort of the perspective where you go, right, well, if you've still got food in your belly, a roof over your head, and you get some people to talk to around about you, and you can still make ends meet, you still fight and fight and fight. This kind of reveals your character. How am I going to fight for my business? Are you going to fight for your business? Are you going to fight for your athletes? Am I going to fight for my athletes? Am I going to fight for my wife and my house, my mortgage, this reveals your character. How strong are you?
Yeah, yeah, go on. Sorry, carry on.
No, like I think that, we should actually looking at how strong we are to still be here fighting through this.
Well, I think because of social media, isn't it? Like for me, I measure success. I look at someone successful who can put food, as a male and a female, I guess, who can put food on the table for their family. That's a success for me.
Yeah,
Whereas
absolutely.
a lot of people measure success by how much income they get on a monthly basis.
Yeah,
Like that guy's driving a Ferrari or whatever, he's successful. Well, no, like if you can provide food in the family for your put food on the table for your family,
yeah,
and you got your roof over your head for your kids, and they go to school, and your wife's happy, your husband's happy, or whatever it is, then God damn, that's what my dad always said to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a success in itself.
yeah,
Hard. The world's hard enough the way it is, and that's why social media is just so criminal to lots of people's mindsets.
yeah,
Because fed algorithms of just all these flashy cars and think this is what success looks like. And if you're not 30 years of age and you're a multimillionaire and not got your own business that's making millions of turnover, you know what I mean, then you're a failure. And
yeah.
it's just, well, that's a complete lie.
I
But
know.
I feel like there's a lot of kids, and I feel sorry for those to a certain extent, who are in the 15 years of age or 18 years, who could fall into that trap very comfortably. And I think looking at male suicide rates, which we spoke about just before jumping on here, you could see a big jump in that in the next 10 years, because obviously kids are being more easily influenced from social media. I think we've gone into that age gap where I think we're luckily we can kind of see it for what it is and be like, well, before I didn't really have this growing up, so I can kind of take myself away from that and understand the reality is, like I just mentioned,
Yeah.
putting food on the table with your family is a success.
Mm-hmm.
And earning millions isn't. If you earn millions, well done to you, mate. Like, fair play to you. Doesn't mean you're better than me or something. But I think that's going to be quite interesting research to see what's going to be like in 10 years time. Is will there be higher suicidal rates because of people feel like they're a failure because of the influence of social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it now. I mean, I never heard. There's kids I work at a school, and some of them. I remember one child last year in year 5. He said, "Oh, I have really bad anxiety." I don't know what anxiety meant when I was in year 5. I only heard about it till I was about 14, 15. And I was like, oh, I thought it was just nerves, like butterflies in your stomach. Like, I thought it was just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got really bad anxiety, and I was like, wow. And like kids know about depression and all of this, and I'm like, really? Like when I was in primary school, all I wanted to do was kick a ball about all day.
Yeah.
Just like have a laugh with the boys and like play bundle and or just like play mafia, which became called mafia. But like, you know what I mean? Like I never thought about nerves or anything like that. I just got on with it. Like, come on. But I understand like and me saying that right now, like, oh, get on with it. Come on. You can't really say that anymore to anyone.
Yeah.
It's that's just you kind of just like, come on, man up. But I'm told to say not man up at school. I can't really say the word man up anymore.
Yeah.
And like my dad's a blue collar man, would be like, get on with it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck up, get on with it. But I've seen too many videos on social media now where they just say like, well, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And I get it to a certain extent. I do understand it because people deal with anxiety and depression in very different ways to how we might manage it.
Yeah.
And I understand that they need someone to talk to. And I'm not saying like you're weak because of that. I'm not saying that at all.
No.
But it's just that it's different ages.
Yeah.
And it goes back onto the comment why I mentioned it'd be interesting to see what's going to be like in 10 years time with suicidal rates and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I pulled a few stats out because I don't obviously want to make this like a male dominant podcast, because a lot of females do listen into this and actually love the feedback. They actually love the podcast with the feedback we've had. But Scotland is sitting at one of the per 100,000. Just now, Scotland's sitting at the highest, with Wales sitting second, England sitting third. In Northern Ireland, it says it's still the sort of demographic of the male suicide rate still has to come in. But overall, in the UK, it's 21.7 males to every 100,000 that are committing suicide just now. And that was a figure from 2018 to 2019. And they feel that the stats will be higher during COVID, during this sort of pandemic. And then the amount of when the clients that I train in the gym, some of them are NHS staff that are ambulance service, and the amount of call-outs just now they're getting to drug overdoses it's just like it's through the roof. And there's a couple of was a gentleman that I was speaking to, and he said there's two things that's happening. Is through lockdown 1, addicts couldn't maybe get what they wanted during that time. So they actually had to, they were restricted to what they could have. So then when lockdown 1 was over, they tried to have what they had before lockdown 1, but their bodies couldn't cope with it, and they went in overdose. You see what, if you know what I'm saying? Because their sensitivity was actually decreasing, and then they go in and they load it up with what they had previously before lockdown when they could get their hands on stuff. They kind of went cold turkey-ish, and then get back and overdosed, and then also because of just not enjoying this way of life at this moment in time, and you know, whether that be a male or whether that be a female, like we are going through a tough time, and like you were saying with the anxiety and the depression, like those numbers are going to keep going through the roof. And with social media, like me and you both know that, like, it's the same as like if we, you know, get this bottle of water here, and you know, you drink too much water, you can drown yourself, you can die with too much water, but it's good for you, you know, to a certain extent. Anything used in the right way can be good for you and the human race, i.e. the messages you send out on Instagram, the messages I try and send out on Instagram. If you try to use it in a positive light and try and create positivity, energy, inspiration, motivation, focus, drive from these posts, great. But I think that you're right in saying that when Instagram has these algorithms that will latch onto, you know, what you were maybe searching for a couple of days ago, it's then going to start popping its way into your feed, if it's in Facebook, if it's in Instagram, and they're basically, I feel they're trying to push you into a corner in the nicest possible way, saying buy or die. That whole like Wolf in Wall Street, like you suffocate them like on the phone, you know, when Leonardo DiCaprio's like, they buy or they die, you know, like that sort of thing. In the nicest possible way, I feel that they're just pushing you into a corner and making you think that you had the conscious decision to buy that item or were looking at it, but it was a subconscious seed planted many weeks or months ago through, you know, subliminal marketing, advertising, whatever it was, and it just kept flicking up every so often and just enticing that part of the brain that was getting stimulated towards going towards that item. And then when you're saying about the life as well, like, you know, the fast life of these guys in Ferraris, Lamborghinis, mansions, helicopters, millionaires, billionaires, you know.
Some of them do flash it all over the place on Instagram.
Yeah. You know, so like basically, you know, if I go back to me having a fancy car, you didn't know about that.
No, I didn't actually.
Nobody knows about that because I don't want to portray that life on Insta. I don't want to portray me sitting and driving and thinking that it's not, because the reason I got there was through tears. Well, basically blood, sweat and tears, you know, where there's been times where I've been in work with 2 root canal infections and I look like a chipmunk, and my clients are giving me one of my Indian clients gave me a wee box of cloves because it's got the clove oil, like natural clove, to put underneath so that I could bear the pain during training sessions. It came in with because like, you know, the flu, like there'd be points where I'd be sitting on a bench after training and have no food in my tummy and sitting there and being like, I need, like, my legs, I just need to sit down because I've done a 10-hour shift, 10 clients, and I'm going, I just need to, my legs are killing me today. Like, and they'll understand, like, it's all right. And I'll still be training them. It's like, that's what gets you to the end goal. It's that suffering, that sacrifice, that desire, that ambition, that drive to build. You know, it didn't, you know, the life that we have or the life that you build comes with the decisions you make. And I feel that when we have these action and ambitions, everybody has them. So if you say to me, you know, Sean, I want to run 3:35 for the 1500, or if we just say like 10k, I want to break 30 minutes for 10k, Sean, for listeners that probably, you know, people would understand the sort of 30 minutes for 10k. Sean, I want to run 30 minutes for 10k. Right, so there's your ambition. Now, I set you the training plan and you then start missing days. Well, your ambition's up here, but your actions are down here. So we're not meeting in the middle. We're not meeting. But if you go with that plan and you get everything done and you're hitting your 3-minute Ks or your 2:55 Ks faster than race pace, then what happens? Your action and your ambitions both meet. So that's a good place to be. But I think a lot of us, and we were speaking off the podcast there, with, you know, everybody wanting that Ferrari, Bentley, Lamborghini lifestyle, ambition. They don't want to work 7 days a week. They don't want to. They don't want to work till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. So what I say to people is, you tell me how much you're willing to suffer, and I'll tell you where you can go. You tell me where your ceiling is, and I'll tell you what you can get for your ceiling. So if you tell me 7 days a week till midnight, I mean, your ceiling's up here. If you tell me you want to work Monday, 8 till 5, and that's it, you don't want to do any, then you lower your ceiling for what you're looking to expand for in life. Because you need to be willing to suffer and sacrifice for those bigger and those high-end things. Yeah. It's not, you can't have a normal lifestyle, try to live that sort of, and that's where the disconnect's happening. I think a lot of kids, they see it, you know, they see, like we're talking about Drake, J. Cole, Rick Ross, they see all these Lambos and they're going, well, if you see it all the time, if you see it in music videos all the time, if you see it on Instagram all the time, if you see it on Facebook all the time, well, it kind of seems like it's like
being fed information.
Like that's reality. That's just we should be kicking about Lambos all day. It's like,
this is success. Like, this is what success looks like.
Yeah. And when you're, no disrespect, but if you are working at McDonald's, serving people at McDonald's,
stop.
You're like, you're crying about that you've not got a Bentley or a Lamborghini. It's because your actions aren't meeting your ambitions. You either need to lower your ambitions or you need to step up your actions.
Well, I don't know about you. I'm not disrespecting those who, you know, do get furloughed and they're going like, yeah, I can't believe this, and they want to binge watch on Netflix. Now, I don't know if it's me being at 27 at the moment. I want to hear your opinion as well on yourself, but I can literally watch TV for about a solid 7 minutes, and then I'm itching to be productive. And that could be texting a client or updating some plans or looking at my own training, what could be doing, a bit of rehab at S&C. I can't, for the sake of me, sit down for more than 10 minutes. And it could be a case of I need to like look at myself a bit more at the moment in that perspective, but I just can't waste away a minute at the moment.
Yeah.
Like today, like I said, like, you know, I've got up, done my rehab stuff, done a 10-mile tempo, done my coaching from a very far distance to make everyone aware of that. And then I came on the podcast. So I'm being productive all day. And then after this, I'll do another run.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I struggle to just sit and just be relaxed. And I've got my own ambitions in life. Like, you know, you're on the Mercedes and stuff. Like, my thing is to get myself a motorcycle and then ride to Milan, you know, this summer. Like, that's but completely by myself. That's like a goal of mine away from running.
Yeah.
So like, I want to like do that sort of thing, you know. But I think it's interesting because I often say about you, Sean, is that you're someone who you're a very passionate person. And I think your passion will change as you get older with different subjects. But I think what's interesting is that passion comes from the word, the Latin word passio. I might be saying it wrong, incorrectly, but passio in Latin means suffering. Yeah. So you're someone who, you know, you thrive under the suffering process, I believe. You know what I mean? So you love to, you know, if it's suffering in a productive manner, not like in a way in which it's pain related, but in a way in that you know that I'm suffering for a great life for me and your wife, essentially. Do you know what I mean? So it's really interesting to hear kind of like that thought process, what you're talking about there, and with the Mercedes and stuff. And yeah, it's cool. It's really interesting to listen to.
Yeah. So, but also like absolutely, you know, your motorcycle to Milan. It's like, I genuinely believe, see if you can afford, or you work so hard that you can afford to do these things in life, and that you want to do them, and they are part of you as a person in terms of exploring. I have absolutely, like, I know we might be shitting on people that might have like Ferraris and that, but see if they people can afford them and they're not like up to their eyeballs in debt. But also don't think, like you were saying at the start, just because you're a billionaire or a millionaire that you're any better a person than another person that doesn't earn that amount or doesn't have those things.
Well, I'm quite scared that if I was a millionaire and I say I achieved it, and I say that with the bunny ears for those who are listening, my biggest fear then would be like, well, now what? Because for me, like the process of me building my business right now is the most joyous thing about seeing it grow, you know, and just seeing it like blossom into this really cool thing is I think the best part of it. I think when it's a success and I've got all I want and I've got it, I'm like, well, okay, well, then I'll be like, well, what's the next challenge? Like, I'm being completely honest with you. And so like, I don't want to be a millionaire yet. Like, I'm probably on my way to it, and so are you. But I'm in that process of like, I want to enjoy this completely and be completely present with it and be able to help people like so much. Do you know what I mean? So that's another thought to it as well, you know? And so I think falling back on the comment of like with kids today and they're kind of seeing success with millionaires and Ferraris and stuff, like it's not, like I said, like my dad always said to me, you know, having food on the table for me and mum was a massive success to him. And roof over the head, the bills paid, like that was enough. And that I stick to that so much even now, you know?
There's a famous saying, and I think it was Conor McGregor that said it as well.
Oh, I love that guy. Wow.
Everybody wants it till they get it.
Yeah.
And that is it. As a human being, it's going to happen to you, whether you, right, so you'll get, let's say you get bronze at the British champs, senior champs. What's next? Silver. Yeah. What's next? Gold. What's next? Retaining that gold medal. Double. Like that is I think the beauty and the curse of us as human beings. Maybe not everybody's that way. Maybe me and you are just wired a little bit differently. There's a large percentage of people that are wired like that, where, you know, being satisfied in the process, but understanding you'll level up a wee bit, and then you'll move into that zone, and you'll complete that, and then you'll level up into another bit, whether that's, you know, expanding your financial, you know, bank balance, whether that's expanding the amount of people that you train in your business, whether that's, you know, expanding in terms of building an establishment for your business, or whatever your goals are, those levels, you'll get there and you'll enjoy and immerse yourself in that process, whatever it may be. And then you'll go, right, it's not even like what's next, it's like, how do I get better?
Yeah.
You're like, how do I get better at this? How do I provide a better service to the people that I'm already, you know, helping? Just how do I get better at that? So that's why you're going away and developing yourself and, you know, training plans and understanding, you know, different energy systems, or what sessions will work for this person and that person. You're just relentlessly working on your craft. And as you're doing that, you're leveling up a little bit more. And you know, some people you can get obsessed in it, but, you know, I think that's just a word that lazy people use for people who are, you know, you know, getting after it and really like.
I laugh at those people anyway, the ones who just decide to moan at you.
Yeah, so I love that philosophy that you've got. Like this, you know, I know you asked me like in the last podcast, will I ever be happy? Yeah. And I said, obviously, short answer, no, because we'll always try and find the next thing to keep progressing, being never full.
The next high, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've also got that within you. I think some people have it at, I guess, what you could just like controllable levels. Some people have it at like, some people, like, it's a gift. It can be a gift and a curse. Like we said about the water, it can be good and it can be bad. You know, the how you use that obsession and that passion to how you make things grow, or how you know, your stepping stones in life. You can use it in a good.
The most important parts as well, though. The stepping stones are the most important part, I think.
That's it. Yeah.
I've got so many like targets this year.
Yeah.
In both the online running myself and obviously what I want to do away from running and stuff. Like I've got it all written down somewhere. Like I know exactly what to do and how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think people like to, I said maybe a minority of people, but they like to kind of be in dreamland. Whereas I like to literally physically write it down and then be like, right, how do I get here?
Yeah.
And that's it. And then next year I'll be like, right, well, how do I up it from last year?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be motorcycling all the way to India or something, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's it.
You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's for me, that's what it is. Maybe it is such that high, but you know what I mean? Like it gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
You know?
And a human being that wants to wake up in the morning, that's got focus, it's got goals,
Yeah.
a want, a desire,
Yeah.
a passion, a drive. Nowadays, a lot of people, you're finding yourself. There's a lot of people out there wandering who are lost.
And I want to say this as well, actually. I mean, if you got kids what listen to this, like 17, 18-year-olds, I think it's a really important thing is that you can always go out, right? Go out and party. Like, you know, once it's done, anyone can go out and party. Anyone can go out, you know, do some coke, do drugs, whatever it is that gets people going, right? Anyone can do it. Go to a festival, go travel, anyone can do it, right? But if you're like a young athlete listening to this, how many people can go away and say, I ran a sub 4-minute mile? Because my 86-year-old nan could go and do some drugs and actually wanted to, because she go and run a 4-minute mile and actually couldn't. Well, no, it's facts, isn't it? It's fact.
Yeah.
I love a party. I love going to party. I love socializing with people, getting to know their story, like having a good time. I get it. I love it, and I've done it. But I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I actually miss those parties, I could be at a high level in athletics and getting paid for it more.
Right.
So I possibly made that mistake. Now, if you're a young listener, I'd recommend to you just have that, look at it in that perspective instead. Like if I went back to when I was like 18, 16 even, sometimes I missed a run to go to a party. Now, right, if that's me now, this sort of mindset, I'd be like, well, F that party, man. I'm going for a run instead. Like I want to be up in the morning, smash a session. So I want a GB vest, I want an England vest, I want to go Olympics, because how many people can say that they're an Olympian? Like, I mean, in the end, it doesn't make me better than anyone else that I'm Olympian. It makes me no better. It makes me no better than the person next to me, because they're incredible at something in their own craft.
Yeah.
But for me, for myself, it'd be like looking at myself in the mirror of a tattoo, going like, "Look at me, I'm a G right now." Like that's for me. That's for me only, not to me to say you're here, down here, and I'm up here. Not at all. Just for me, and be like, I'm this right now. So like, that's what I mean. Like, and that's the difference for young kids if they're listening. I don't know why it came up, but I just wanted to say it. Like.
No, like I 100, like when you're an athlete, with time is not on your side. There's a ticking clock and there's a window of opportunity, and every day, sorry to say, that window of opportunity just gets a little bit smaller every single day. And you've got a time frame in which to achieve your self-driven, self-motivated goals. And booze is always going to be around before and after. Drugs are always going to be around before and after. If you're wanting to dabble in all that shenanigans, money, cars, houses, women, men, whatever you're into, is all going to be around after you're done. So boss it right now.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you know, I gave up my business, and I was charging £70 an hour down in London as a PT, and I gave that. I told my wife to give up her job at Sweatshop as the manager, to go and live in the back arse of nowhere in Colorado for a full scholarship at altitude, because I was so like, because I came back from altitude from France, bossed it at 10k. I thought, well, altitude must work for me. But it was a certain environment that worked for me, and that was having yourself and Vernon and all these other great athletes around me, and then taking a wee break to altitude for a wee while, and then coming back to that nice environment. Being in I was maybe not in the environment that was conducive for my type of personality of, you know, when that competition got started, and at altitude you've got nowhere to go in terms, you can't come back down to sea level to recover. And I took a big, but because take those opportunities and grab them by the balls, man, and just get after it. Like, you're 27. See, mate, see if I could be 27 again, just 27. Give me 3 years back. I'd be doing stuff a lot different. I probably still would make similar mistakes, because obviously I'm stubborn mofo, but you know, it's time, man. Time, like, you've got it. These kids as well, if you say like 17, 18-year-old kids, they have got it. And I think you're going along the lines of do something today that serves you as a person to make you better tomorrow.
Don't fall into that peer pressure of going out to a party, because I did a couple of times, like, and it's get there, and then the next day just like wasn't really worth it, was it really? Let's be honest with you. And so yeah, like for young kids listening, just get on it, you know, just be productive. Because people have fun, you know, people at first will laugh at you and like say, you know, a bit of a lone wolf and stuff. But once you start to bring some success to your name, and you know the family name gets a bit higher up and a bit more people start to know you and recognize you, then they want a piece of you.
Yeah.
And then by the time you made it big time as an adult, they'll be the ones saying, well, I knew that guy or knew that woman.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of does a complete reverse.
But they didn't want to know you when.
Yeah, so first are the ones going like, yeah, sod off, mate, see you later, like we don't want you here anyway. Then it goes, well, yeah, like he's doing all right for himself. Then it turns to, I knew that guy, yeah, I was really good mates with him or her. You know what I mean? It's a complete reverse effect. So be stubborn, be solo, be a lone wolf, love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Last day. So
do you think because of all this social media, do you think it's harder to be a lone wolf and think for yourself just now? That's
a good question, mate. Very good question.
I mean, I could answer first and then like.
Yeah, you're first.
So I think that societal pressure has made it harder for kids because we're so connected now. We are so connected, and I think our value system has completely flip-flopped to shit. Sorry, my French, but I feel that we are now on this grind of the priority scale of how many followers, how many likes, how many views, how many comments. That is now what we want to identify with. That's now up in our priority scale. Like that's what our values. If people love or like or whatever they do, or views or share my content or my post on social media, my value as a person's gone up because I have more likes. If I don't get any, or I don't have any followers, I don't have any friends on social media, I don't exist as a human being. And a lot of people nowadays, there's been a lot of stories nowadays where kids, male and female, have committed suicide because they have felt worthless on social media. So that means that they felt worthless as a human being in reality.
Wow, didn't know that.
And so I think just now, because people want to feel so connected and so involved, have so many followers to create that notoriety or whatever it is that, you know, people are idolizing, I think that it is a lot harder to have that lone wolf mentality. And it's been seen in lockdown as well, because they can't just be at peace and at one with you and your mind. People need to be constantly stimulated. WhatsApp, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Amazon. People need to be connected. They need to feel connected in some sort of way. They can't just shut it all down and go, that doesn't serve me.
There's research isn't the research that says like when you get a buzz on your phone, it releases serotonin in the brain.
Yeah.
That's like that. Like that's crazy to think, and I definitely have that. I think, and when I get like a bit of a buzz, I'm like, ooh, who's been thinking about me?
I mean, your last video, man, getting 1,000 odd views as well. I was like, geez, you lost it.
2,000 already after like 24 hours. I was like, what's going on here?
Your wee brain inside, you might be going,
definitely, yeah, of course.
But inside there might be a part of your brain subconsciously going,
oh yeah. When I woke up this morning, like, so I never look at my phone for the first 30 minutes when I wake up. I'm a big believer of that.
Yeah.
So and I went on it. I was like, whoa, I'm real, like, not too bad, eh? But then again, after a while, it kind of fades. But I think I totally agree with you. I think the biggest thing for me is, no, you know what? I completely agree with you there, Sean. I don't think it's quite scary. Like, you know, and I think for those who get bullied as well, I think that the escapism from school is not there anymore. So like, even like when I hear kids, so sometimes I work one-to-one with children who just want to have a bit of a chat. And they'll be like, when I go home, they mock me on Fortnite and stuff like this. And so they got no escapism from it at all. And so I was chatting to them saying, well, why about we just switch off from video games and everything like that, and just maybe apply yourself, apply your energy into something else that is more productive for yourself. Now, telling that to a 9-year-old, 8-year-old is quite difficult, because they're like, well, no, Fortnite's life. Do you know what I mean? So it's pretty hard, but yeah, it's a very difficult thing. And I think it kind of falls into that, we're, as humans, we want to fit in tribes. Like, for thousands of years, we're in small tribes. And then obviously we've expanded out into countries and continents and whatever. And so this fixation of wanting to fit in somewhere is still within our DNA. So it's vastly important for us. So, and I think Instagram is just highlighting that on a huge level. That, if you don't have, say, over 1,000 followers, then you're not as worthy as the person who's got 2,000 followers. So yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's a real shame, I think. And if someone listens to this and they kind of feel pressured from Instagram and social media, then I'd say delete the goddamn app and apply your energy to yourself for 6 months. Look up Sean, look up me, look up coaches, look at a life coach, go into therapy. There's this big kind of stigma about therapy being you're weak, you're not good enough and you need help. Like, look at you need help. Like, what's wrong with you? It's not that at all. Like, therapy is, it's a modern thing. It's very much, like this right here is, to a certain extent, probably therapy for us too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're both venting our views on different topics.
Yeah.
So I think, for the fourth time, I totally agree with you. And it kind of falls back on the comment about what I said earlier, the research in the next 10 years on suicidal rates for both male and female will be quite interesting. Well, not, I shouldn't say interesting, but, I think the rates of depression, the rates of anxiety, and the rates of suicides, how's Instagram impacted that? And I think that kind of is a reason why people need to find sports or find challenges in life from a young age to become fixated on, that will keep helping them grow. Because from the age, for me, probably younger for you, but I started running at 16 years of age, then started Googling Olympics and stuff. And I got hooked, and I was like, I want to be part of this Olympics thing. This sounds like pretty good. Get Olympic rings tattoo, like, pretty cool. So then I saw Ross Murray and Andrew Assange, and they got like Olympic rings, and I'm like, damn, this is like a Roman sort of, kind of like the SPQR thing. So that for me was now like a fixation. And I think kids need to kind of find, and maybe not kids as well, but adults as well in their 30s and 40s who've, not gone past their best, because there's so much more to achieve. My old man, like, still plays, he's 65 years of age and plays tennis like all the goddamn time. Loves beers, but goddamn, he loves his tennis as well. You know what I mean? So, and he's always setting himself challenges to do things. And so is my mum as well for power walking. Do you know what I mean? So we're very like motivated family in that sense. That's probably why I'm quite lucky to kind of have that mindset from them.
Yeah.
But I think that for me has helped me overcome a lot of stuff quite quickly, because I've just, as soon as I've kind of felt as if I've lost myself, then I'll be like, right, switch off, done with that. Now apply myself to this for 6 months time. Yeah. And I think, of online coaching eventually and inevitably, I think I will, as an online running coach, I think fall into live coaching very slowly, similar to Luke, because I do find myself, I love putting training plans together, and I love seeing them succeed, and I absolutely adore doing it. But I really get more of a kick out of just helping people on a more like spiritual, or more like kind of just talking to them through certain issues they're going through. I get more of a kick out of that, I think, if I'm being completely honest. And so, and yeah, that's what I have to say really, mate, on that topic.
No, like, I couldn't agree with you. Like, I think you'd be a great life coach.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking into it at the moment.
You've got that calm, collective aura about you that when somebody walks in would feel calm within your presence.
Yeah. And then they realize I'm a nutter about 10 minutes later.
Hey, what person on this planet is
We're
all messed up in our own weird and wonderful ways. That's what I'm going to say. Like, nobody's classified, quote unquote, here normal. We've all get things going on in our heads that we're trying to control and suppress, or we're all mental. We're all batshit crazy. Just some maybe hide it better than others.
You definitely do. No,
to my clients, definitely. I think, I don't understand. My clients think that I've got shit figured out.
Yeah.
I'm like hopefully I don't. All I do is make a very fast decision with the information that's in front of my face. That's it.
You should never have it figured out anyway, I don't think. You should always be a learning process all the time. No.
Like that's what you know. That's what I guess that's why I love these podcasts as well, because I get to explore other people's personalities, other people's motivations, other people's inspirations and aspirations, because we can all pull from each other. And then when you say something, I'm like, it'll go into my brain. I'm like, I like that. Maybe I need to incorporate that into my lifestyle now and try and make me a bit of a, could say a better version of myself previously than before we were on this podcast.
Yeah.
So that would make me be less aggressive to, you know, less angry in an argument towards my wife over something petty. You said something in a, you know, family, health perspective, going, you know, you sometimes blow up at the littlest things and you go, oh, cool, like, no worries.
You should look at Stoicism, the philosophy.
Yeah, no. So this is where, hey, don't jump the gun, you don't jump the gun. So like, because we're getting on to exercise,
yeah,
and we're talking about, you know, kids having better, more positive self-serving activities and avenues to go down. This, you know, getting right onto this topic of what could be. So during lockdown just now, there is probably a lot of people just, you know, sitting on their games, sitting on Netflix, sitting on their phone. Their screen time is through the roof, and they probably also understand. They probably don't understand. Their screen time's through the roof, but their mental health is off the chart. Like, it's not really that. It's a vicious circle, isn't it? Where when your mental health isn't that good because you don't feel connected to the world in reality, you then fall into the pit of keeping going on social media to find that high void fulfillment from other people that you've never even shook a hand with, that you've never even gave a high five to, that's somewhere across in Hong Kong or China somewhere, and you're trying to get their adulation. It is so messed up.
You ever seen TikTok?
No, I've not got TikTok.
No, I haven't got it. I've only heard about it a few weeks ago. My cousin showed me, and I cannot believe the amount of people who just want to get likes on a video.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually quite, I mean, people might disagree with me saying this, but I just cannot believe the level of what TikTok's got to. In terms of people like dance to the video, then try and get loads of likes for it, and just the need to just, some women could be, you know, really quite dancing in like an erotic way. Right. And men do the same thing. And all they're just looking for is just like all the time. And I literally was like, I'm definitely not getting that app. Like, what is that about? I think there is a different side to it that's quite useful. But TikTok is like taking a whole new dilemma in terms of like seeking external validation to a whole new perspective. And there are quite a lot of kids in like year 5, year 6 who've got the app. Right. And they're kind of falling into that mindset of just trying to get likes and stuff, or seeing it and then thinking like, well, when I'm a bit older, when I can upload videos and stuff, that's going to be my high. My natural high is going to be trying to get likes. It's scary, man. Super scary. Like,
so the reason I can admit, I think somebody said to me, the reason it's called TikTok is because of the amount of time that goes by that you don't know when you're on it. That you look up and go, holy shit, I just spent an hour on TikTok. It's like TikTok. The time goes by. I don't know, and you know, somebody can quote me if I'm wrong, but I genuinely feel, I think that's why it was called TikTok, because when you watch all these videos and then you want to then replicate, or, you know, you're spending all this time on it, and it's just TikTok. You spend all this time. Could be wrong, you know. If anybody's on here, you know, quote me if I'm wrong. I'll take the hit. I don't care. But it is proper vanity and superficial at its highest level. Where is the meaning? Where is the deep meaning behind?
There is some useful stuff in it, like
I don't look at the app.
On a different, there is like she did show me some stuff that she looks at, and it's like quite it's only like 10-second videos, but on the whole, like the trending stuff, it's always like dance to certain music and stuff. And all this. I'm like, well, I don't really understand the point of it.
Yeah, proper vanity.
Yeah.
So, you know, what would you say through, you know, to try and getting away from those devices that don't serve us in a positive way? Unless you're getting paid from it, if you're getting paid multi-millions from these platforms, like, go on, get on it, and, you know, blooming, you know, that's your job. Get after it. You know, like, hey, each to their own. Right, you've got to pay the bills, like we're paying our bills and everybody else. Like, you've got to hustle, and if that's what's, you know, making you an influencer and making you money and paying your bills and giving you the life that you desire, then all power to you. But just, you know, I guess from both our sides, we just want it to try and be from a more, don't pull wool over people's eyes, and don't bullshit them, and stop making them think that they're worthless just because they don't have a certain thing, product or house or in a certain location, that their life doesn't mean any more to them than it does. Like, we're all the same, you know. We all bleed when we get cut. We're all the same, you know. But what would you, you know, from your experience, coping mechanisms then to help serve you in a more positive way, what would you say would be better to do in times that you can sort of serve yourself in a more positive light?
Well, especially during lockdown 3, essentially.
Yeah. And then those habits could hopefully then move into, even when lockdown finishes, they could build that good habit just now and I've got the time. And then
I think that kind of falls back on James Clear, doesn't it? Atomic Habits book, where it's just about small habits. So small habits lead to big changes. So you do things in small steps. So it could be like read a book, but only read like 3 pages, and then leave that when you're feeling good about it, and then do it the same next day, and then slowly over time it becomes a complete habit installed into your brain. It's like when you go and brush your teeth, you just know you probably are doing the same sort of motions you probably have done the last 10 years. You know. But in terms of staying positive, I think, falling back on the comment about stoic, I think I like to say I'm quite a stoic person. And what I mean by that is, obviously we're going through a world pandemic. Me and Sean have spoken about social media being quite a bad influence. There are pages that are great for, for mental health and stuff like that, but I think on the whole, your feed and algorithm and what it does, it can be quite a negative feeling. So I think it's about being able to become completely self-aware and not allowing, like I said in the previous podcast, not allowing external forces being able to affect your emotional outlook on certain things. So if it's Instagram making you feel bad about yourself in a physical manner, I think more so on a woman perspective rather than the male. Don't let it bother you. You're beautiful in the way you are, and focus on what you're good at. I think that's really, really important. So firstly, not letting external things get the better of you, because being stoic is about you're completely aware that you can only control your environment and your environment only. Whatever people decide to do to kind of infiltrate that is their own actions, and if you allow them those actions to affect you, then that's going to have a negative effect on you, creating a domino effect in a negative way. Sorry to interrupt.
Is there any books or things that you would recommend to sort of learn more about Stoicism?
You know what? I haven't actually read a Stoic book, so I think the best thing to do is Google it. I've done lots of like article reading, so like research on that sort of stuff to kind of get a better understanding of it, and watching documentaries on it. There was a prisoner who I can't remember his name, who was put in jail for 35 years, and he applied Stoic for 35 years in prison. I think he was a boxer, and then he didn't actually commit the murder at all.
Hurricane?
Is that it? I don't know.
Is it Washington played it in the movie? The Hurricane?
Yeah, they made a movie about him. Yeah. So he applied Stoic philosophy. And so it's like, I'm not caging these walls are caging me, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible way to look at it. So I think that's a really cool way to kind of firstly view this lockdown in terms of that, and just controlling your variables and not letting anything else get in the way of that. Secondly, falling back on the last podcast, is setting targets for yourself. Now, obviously, me and Sean do that in a running perspective, but I think it could be in terms of completing so many books, or you can add in here if you want to. Just creating lots of challenges for yourself with small targets. I think we spoke a lot about that stepping stones. And for me, the stepping stones part is the most joyous part of the process. The end process is great. The finishing line is great, but actually the process during it, I think, is the best part of it. And you hear a lot of entrepreneurs speak about that actually once they get there, they're often like, well, now what? Because actually during the process, during the stress, during the one step forward, two steps back sort of approaches, and they've got to deal with the situations, actually helps build their character more. But once they get to the top, it's like, well, I've got nowhere else now to improve or to grow. So that's why you see a lot of entrepreneurs then go out to create something new, to kind of get that high again. So setting yourself challenges, setting yourself targets is, I think, imperative during this lockdown. Obviously, my lot do a lot of time trials, but do it in a kind of flow state philosophy. Went to the video yesterday, so I think that's really important. So don't do it much too soon, because that's going to create burnout. So do it in a manner in which, and I loved what you said in the last podcast, Sean. We spoke about, it's not about today, it's not about tomorrow, it's not about this week, it's not about this month, it's month after month, year after year. It's gonna make a difference, and that, I think, that's flow state in a nutshell. So don't look at yourself what you could be by the end of the week. Look at yourself what you could be in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think lockdown is the perfect opportunity to delete social media if you don't need it, or to put it to side for a little bit and just completely work on yourself. No one's out doing anything fun at the moment in terms of like partying, socializing, or doing things like traveling, anything like that. So this is the perfect opportunity to put FOMO, fear of missing out, in the closet for a little bit, because I know people do suffer with that, and just completely work on yourself. Again, last podcast, be enormously kind to yourself. This is not a time to be hard on yourself at all. I think if you are, you need to kind of look yourself in the mirror and just give yourself a bit of a slap in the face, because it's just the wrong mindset to have. This is we're going through a difficult time. You might think it's easy for you, but with the external factors going on, there's a lot of things probably going on in your subconscious that you're not aware of that could be having a bit of an effect on your day, I think, anyway. So be enormously kind to yourself, have a laugh with yourself. And I think that kind of sums it up, really, mate, for me anyway. Like, that's what I do, set myself targets, being quite stoic about everything. And just giving to people, you know what I mean? Like giving, like, I don't know about you, but I get more of a kick out of helping people and giving my knowledge to people than I do actually receiving it.
Yeah.
I love listening to people and adopting their ideas and putting it to practice for myself, and then maybe, trying to, what's the correct word? Not progress it, but like, I guess adapt it to like way I would do it. So I love that sort of stuff, but I get a massive harness giving out information than just helping people and making people realize, well, maybe do it this way instead. It's like, I was thinking to someone recently about, past experiences. And I was like, well, think about this. Like, do you remember when you're in school and you're going through a certain time in school, maybe it's bullying, or maybe it's like you're really stressed with a girlfriend or a boyfriend you had. Do you even think about that person anymore? No, you don't, because you've now got more, relatable things going on in today's world. So often what you're going through now is a stressful situation. It's not going to actually be a worry for you in 5 years' time. So, don't try to kind of like make it this massive thing in your head. Like, understand sometimes it's actually good to just, for a minute, pause, take stuff out of the equation and go, what am I actually getting really worried about here? Is it really necessary? Is this really helping me? Because worrying then is just worrying about something that's going to happen in the future, and depression's about something in the past. So I think about being completely present is going to be a big difference. I'm waffling on now, I can tell. But yeah, mate, that's pretty much it.
I think waffling, whatever you're doing, is, I think it's all knowledge that people are gonna, sometimes you might think that you might want to say something, but you might go, nah, you probably won't, that in. And actually you say it and they're like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. So, people with the stoicism, keeping present, people then might Google these things and start to like, what is being present, and then what about like, do you do any meditation or anything like that to then stay present? Do you do some meditation?
I do a lot. I don't do as much now, but I try to get in only 5-10 minutes. I completely fall into that. Like, I don't do as much as I should do, but it's what I can do in the day at the moment. So I only do about 5 minutes. But for me, like I said, 5 minutes, absolutely 35 minutes in a week. It's better than me doing like 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. So this is done on a daily basis. I mean, I was doing up to an hour in the summer when I was back home in Devon. I mean, I was still working and teaching stuff online, but we had like kind of long periods. And so I was doing up to an hour of meditation a day there. And that was really quite something. to kind of do. It took a massive focus to do it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of use it. I was kind of hitting two birds with one stone. Because what I'll do is I meditate in the sun. So I'll just be baking in the sun, getting a tan, not white now like I am now, like white as a ghost, and just be like meditating at the same time. So I was getting like one benefit for the mind and one benefit for the skin. So it's quite good. Yeah. So yeah, meditation. Yeah. I think because it's free, people are like, nah, that's nothing. Meditation is nothing. And people think that people meditate and when they first do it, they kind of, and I'm not a meditating expert like that, but from what I've listened to and read and stuff, people do it and their mind is just like a traffic jam full of like negative thoughts, positive thoughts, and these ideas are bouncing around their heads, and people are like, well, I'm not achieving meditation here at all. When actually, in fact, that is meditation. You're meant to just let these thoughts be completely crammed up in your head, right? And then the more you do it, the traffic jam starts to get a little bit flexible. And eventually there's no traffic jam, the car's just flowing past your head. And you kind of find yourself one car, which now is a thought, will obviously stay in your head for a little bit. And instead of you trying to get rid of it like this, you kind of let it fester in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
And for me, like if I get like a thought about anxiety, for example, which I rarely get at the moment, but when I was going through kind of that phase, instead of me trying to bury it, I'll just kind of be with it. And I'll be like, right, what am I getting worried about? And this is what I'll do. I'll be like, what am I worried about right now? So I'll be worried about this. And then I'll be like, all right, now what's the emotional connection with that? So I'll feel it in my stomach, and I'll be like, okay, this is what I'm feeling in my stomach. I can feel it right up here underneath my chest. I can feel it. It's quite a strong kind of feeling. And by the time like I've kind of processed it, the anxiety thoughts kind of gone.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of me trying to bury it, which a lot of people try to do, they bury the negative emotions. I love to kind of feel it for what it is, because life is a roller coaster ride. I mean, I want to feel those downs and negatives and depression thoughts. I kind of, I don't love it, but it's good to kind of feel them. I rather feel like this sometimes and then like this than just that the whole way. You know what I mean? Because without depression and without sadness, then when you're happy and stuff, it's going to feel nowhere better. You know what I mean? So I'm a massive believer in that. And that's why when you suck in a race, like, and you do really bad, like as much as I hate it and don't like it, I do like to search for them and actually get into them and never give up in them, because like I said during the previous podcast, I learned so much from it. And actually it allows me then to kind of go back to the drawing board, get back on the horse the very next day, get back to work and then search for that high, which is going to be running a PB or winning a race. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And then is there any books that you recommend? So you spoke about Atomic Habits. Is there any other books that you'd recommend for?
Chimp Paradox.
Yeah.
A lot of us know that one. This one here, I'm currently reading. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Sorry, my French. Yeah, I haven't read that one yet. I'm halfway through it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good book. I don't really ever read like fictional books or anything like that. It's always just kind of psychology books. I think that's it for now. Sapiens is a good book. If that's kind of thinking away from psychology and stuff, that's more like just about our ancestors and stuff, which is quite cool, because that talks about all the tribes and why we're kind of fixated on being in the tribe. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of still registered in our DNA today. Yeah. So that's quite cool. And yeah, so that, I think Chimp Paradox is a great one. Atomic Habits is a really good one. Yeah. Passion Paradox by Steve Magnus.
Right.
You read that one?
No, it's on my list.
Yeah, that's a good one, because that mentions about passion refers to Pasio, which is then means suffering. Yeah. That's a really good book. And Peak Performance by Steve Magnus as well.
Right.
It's a really good book if you're very into kind of the training philosophy. About different runners, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, that kind of teaches you. The first half is all very sciencey, and then the second half is all very how do you put that science into practice. What about have you read David Goggins' book?
No, I think he's an absolute psycho, that guy. But I mean, like in a good way.
Like, I think I would. David Goggins, man, this guy's mind's bulletproof.
I know. I've heard some stories of him, and he's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. So like, I've got a few books down here. Like, the current one I'm reading just now is Cadell Evans' The Art of Cycling. And I really like that because he was a guy that was always either second or third best in the Tour de France.
Mm-hmm.
He was always a bridesmaid, never the bride. And that was to Lance Armstrong, that was to Alberto Contador, that was, to athletes who were starting to get popped for drugs. And he speaks about how you know, at some point ignorance is bliss in sport. Sometimes the less you know, the better. Because George Hincapie, Lance's basically lead out man, then became Cadell's lead out man.
Yeah.
And Cadell would then ask him about like, oh, but you know, so and so, like he was definitely clean, and George would be like, I wasn't, and he's just getting really demoralised. The reason I think I'm on that is because when on Facebook, when every athletic or sort of running group posts or retweets, you know, another Kenyan or whoever busted for, I don't really like seeing it, especially when you're not in the shape that you're supposed to be in. Sometimes things can come into your brain, they can infiltrate it a wee, they can just like sneak in just a wee bit and just take you out your flow. When you're flying, you know, the bombs can be flying, the bullets can be flying, you just like, you know, stick the middle fingers up to it and go, right, you wrote, it's like, that's all right, it doesn't affect me. But sometimes when you're going through a really tough time and you're hearing this, you're like, man, I'm struggling here and these guys are, you know, doing this, like, this is like, but you know, he talks about, and he won one Tour de France, in I think 2011, but he talks about, you know, how he aged as a human being, and when he got to 32, 35, how the process of recovery had to take over the training. He loved the science and the numbers and things like that, being on the bike and getting his VO2 and stuff. So that's quite, I'm really enjoying Cadell Evans' book. I like, I know I don't know if, but basically all of Ant Middleton's books I've really enjoyed. So First Man In, First Man In, and then there's also Zero Negativity, but there was also another one. I've got it in Audible as well. That'll get up for us. Kevin Hart, Can't Make This Up.
Oh, yeah.
Swear to God, like, it's not like a comedy. Like, in terms, he's always trying to make you laugh. He tries to show you that everything that we're going through is setting us up for something that we're about to go through as well.
Interesting.
So I obviously don't want to give too much of it away, but there's some parts where you're like, I was crying with laughter with his relationship with his dad, but how his mum would make him go from, like, say, swimming practice in the morning to school to then after school clubs or whatever. But then he then said, well, you know, I was cussing her out. I say, no, my mum's a tyrant. She's always making me, like, all these other kids are, you know, going out to cycle on their BMX on the streets and stuff. But then some of those kids actually didn't see 12, 13 years old because they get shot. And then when he became, you know, this movie star comedian, he's got interviews, he's got podcasts, he's got a radio talk, he's got to go and do his movie set, then he's got to go to the gym. And what's happening? His mum set him up as a kid for later in life. So, like, that was a really good book. I've also got on here Mark Manson, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and also his second book is called Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. And it's a really cool book on perspective and how this world is starting to move in terms of how we can't not keep searching as human beings. We need to keep, you know, like with technology, basically. And he talks about, like, AI and how AI, when we don't use it properly, can come back to bite us in the butt, because supposedly, like, AI technology, they set this thing up with the grandmaster chess player who's never been beaten, like, sort of 25 years. They got the IMB or IBM computer, put the AI software in it, very basic one, got it to learn chess in 2 days and beat the grand chess master in 2 days, learned all the chess moves, all the possible. So he was talking about how you just need to be, like, being careful with how the evolution of the world's working, and then also because basically, like what we're talking about with society is making us, marketing and consumerism is making us always go towards comfort, i.e. you get the iPhone. Apple are brainwashing us to say, as soon as you get the iPhone or the MacBook or anything Apple, your life will be complete. You will be happier in this life with your Apple. But really, you look, you go through it, you know, you go, oh, look, the camera's amazing. Oh, look at the 12 meg. And then 5 minutes later, it texts, it phones, it's got the apps, WhatsApps, takes pictures, does FaceTime, like every other phone. The high comes back down. Whether it's a car, you sit in the car, and then eventually that warm fuzzy feeling fades away. You do up your kitchen, you do up your bathroom. And again, it's called the 7-10 rule, where we try and chase the 10 out of 10, but then eventually after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, you'll ask us again how we're doing, and the average will be 7 out of 10. Lost my train of thought. That's it. We're always chasing that high, and that we are always going towards comforts. We're always trying to be comfortable. So then when we're trying to chase comfort and we go through suffering, it becomes even more debilitating, because we are being sold comfort all the time. We're being sold, when you have this in your life, or when you have a car, or you have a nice house, or your life should be better. But it's just, life's your life. You're going to get hit with a few Mike Tyson punches here and there, whether you're in a Big Mac mansion, or you've got an iPhone, or you've got a Nokia, you've got a Samsung, or you've got like whatever it is. But as we keep chasing comfort, and consumerism and marketing keeps telling us to keep going towards comfort, the more pain we feel during suffering, because we're being sold that if you're going through suffering in life, that's bad. But really, suffering is growth. And Mark Manson talks about that sort of stuff. How we've got away from, always trying to get these comforts in life. But as we get these more comforts in life, mental health is on the rise. Like a poor mental wellness is on the rise. But yet we've got, besides COVID, this has been a massive pandemic. This has shook the world. But before this world was in the best state it's ever been in. But mental health was in the worst state it's ever been in, because we get less shit to worry about, like really properly worry about, until this happened. So, if people want to, put this on YouTube or whatever, and want to start jumping to me, and so, like, until this happened, we were in the best position, as the most entitled, the most, like, whatever. We had everything. It was going so well, but mental health was on the rise. Why? Because we're caring about meaningless shit. We're caring about the colour of our couch, what type of blue, what type of grey, what type of white, what type, what colour will my iPhone be? Should I get the white one? Should I get the gold one? Should I get the green one? Or should I get the black one? Oh, I don't know the choices. It was like, as we fell into it's again going back to, everybody wants it till they get it. All these choices, we then become paralyzed by analysis. And I'm talking about it, like, I absolutely love this book. Resonates with my mindset 110%. And yeah, so I don't want to give any more away, but I really love that one. And then meditation. I would love meditation. I meditate once every week. I can't, because if I try and fit it in every day, I'll get stressed. So then I just put it in where I feel I can put it in, sort of thing. Because I'm like you I can't watch a movie. Like, see a Netflix movie or an Amazon movie or whatever movie, I can't finish it. It takes about 3 days to finish the movie. Because I watch it for 20 minutes, I get up.
That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It takes me about 3 days to get through a 90-minute movie, just because I would rather watch an episode or something that's 30 minutes long. So it means that then it's done, right? I've had my wee fix of sort of TV and downtime, right? On the bike, run, programs, catch-ups, podcasts, calls, classes, got to get it done. So, it's meditation for me. Like, I try and put it in once a week. Maybe I should start doing the sort of five minutes every day. That might be a bit better.
Yeah, it's done like that. It's done like that. So
yeah, and you're absolutely right with the whole. Your mind's kind of like a car crash in there. Boom, 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 boom. But it's like when we sort of take it, if we go with somebody who's never ran before, like, running's hard to start with. Yoga, when people start yoga, they're just like, I can't really feel this because they're too inflexible, so they can't really feel where it's supposed to be working. It's kind of like the same as that. Like, you've got to give it time. You've really got to give your body and mind some time to adapt to these new stimuluses or lack of stimuluses. to, you know, like you're saying, allow that mind, the thought to come in like a cloud, analyze it, where's it coming from, why is it came in, and then let it move out. Like I think that's a great thing, like analyzing it like traffic jam, because all our minds, and I think that's why we hang on to these devices when there's downtime, because we have to keep filling. We need to keep our minds constantly ticking, because we can't have any downtime. We can't have any alone time. So because when we do, our thoughts go a bit crazy. And I think a lot of people nowadays, some people don't want to be left alone with their thoughts because they're maybe in a bit of a bad place. Is that, would you agree, maybe agree with that one?
No, definitely. Yeah, I absolutely agree. You use it as a distraction to put to bed what you're thinking. And then in the end, it just makes whatever that thought is louder and more dangerous in your heads. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just key. It is absolutely key to be with your emotions. And I think that's why I've got such a good emotional connection with my head and how I feel about things. And that's why I think Stoicism's been a big thing for me. I feel like I've almost fallen into it rather than actually me discovering it and, you know, trying to like get into it. I've kind of just naturally fallen into it and gone, why am I like this? Like, why am I thinking like this way? Yeah. And someone said to me, you're quite stoic. Like, you don't really let things ever bother you. And I'm like, or phase you. And I'm like, yeah, it's interesting that. And then he said to me, Google search it. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I guess I am. Like, I said to you in the last podcast, like nothing really phases me anymore. Unless it was like at knife point, I think I'd be like, okay, this is pretty scary. But to that sort of point, I got to the point now at 27, I've gone through some experiences and probably like a little bit of trauma on the side of it as well. And you just manage it. And then it's just now I'm just, yeah, like I feel like, and I said in the previous one, I'm the happiest I've ever been in terms of, you know, where I'm at and, you know, in terms of career wise and athletics wise and where I'm at, I feel I'm in a good place. So I've got quite a good stability at the moment. Yeah. And obviously things can change and in this age at the moment could reoccur whatever time. But I think, yeah, in terms of that, and I'm very happy. And also just, I feel as if anyone wants to throw a challenge at me, well, I can handle it. You know, any conversation, any problem, any issue, I could be like, all right, give me a little bit of time and I'll be able to go through it and put what I think is the best idea to tackle it. Yeah. And so I think when you get to that sort of degree of calmness in your mind, which comes from meditation, it comes from Stoicism, it's quite a refreshing sort of way to look at things. And it's really cool. Like I don't get worried about things. I don't get anxious about things. Nothing bothers me. It takes a lot. Like, and even when my mum gave me that call, like, yeah, like, you know, I've got cancer. And that was on the phone when I couldn't go home for it. And my mum just wanted me to be there for her. And that was hard. And we couldn't go home because of COVID and stuff. And we spoke every single day, a text every day, like, I love you loads and all this and here for you, whatever. And she got through it. And, you know, she went for radiotherapy and it got all done. And it's pretty much, you know, she's fine. And that was very much, she adopted the kind of like that very calmness. And straight away, she was the first person to say, like, right, you found the silver lining right now. Like, your mum's going to be fine. I'm at power walking right now as we speak. And I'm like, you are nutter. That's the way she is. I'm the old man, just like working 12-hour days still, 65 years of age. And then he goes home, takes care of my mum. Yeah. Like a blue collar mentality, which is drilled into me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, and I love it. I love telling people, like, I come from this background. Yeah. Like, because it's made me who I am today. And I think that's had a big impact on why I am the way I am. And that's why, you know, we're talking about fighting and stuff. Like, of course, like, the fight's gonna be the last resort. I'm not talking about that kind of sort of like phase. And I will stick up for myself, as you would for yourself. But just in terms of being able to fight through things in life, it would take something big to make me go, right, okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when someone so important in your life is faced with death like that, at the C word, and it's your own mum, and the person who's just brought you up from the get-go, and that kind of thought of like I could lose her, and that's a scary goddamn thing, and everything else is going through your life gets put on pause, and then everything that's important to your life goes zoop, right up.
Yeah.
Even with running and stuff, it kind of put it on pause. I still train and stuff, but the importance of it just went straight down. And so my mum's you know, like, she just says, I wake up every morning now feeling so grateful and happy.
Yeah.
How many people wake up healthy, happy, and healthy and just not happy? Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes people need to need to go through suffering to actually, realize actually they're actually doing all right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going for an injury, Sean, but like, and you're getting back to your best, but there's probably a lot worse things that could be going on in your life right now that can have a bigger effect.
Yeah, that's, I've been there as well, mate. When I was down in London, my dad was getting fed through a straw, but my mum and dad never told me because they thought I wouldn't be able to handle it. But went back up the roads, and I saw it, and my dad looked as if, you pop a balloon and he, like, that wrinkly way, and I was just like, geez, like, wow, this is unbelievable. Like, but I get things. This is where people do need to gain health perspective. Like, people think that they're going to be around forever, and they're not. And we all think that we're going to live till we're 100, and we're not. And the day when the doctor goes, after eating, Burger Kings or McDonald's or KFCs or Pizza Huts or takeaways, and they go, oh, by the way, you've got coronary heart disease, or you've got calcification of your, and they're like, what? Like, what? What did you expect from living a life that wasn't healthy? Like, do you not understand there's consequences and repercussions, good and bad, to every action? So, like, we'll get back to self-awareness. A lot of people aren't self-aware of themselves anymore. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand why they're doing something either. When you ask them, why are you doing that? I don't know. And I'll actually go, well, I believe you. I believe you don't know what you're doing, because we're kind of just like on a conveyor. Some people are on a conveyor belt, just head down and just zipping through life.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
scary as well.
And what happens is things like that give you a shake, give you a real bloody shake. But hopefully, when it is happening to the person, it's never too late. But I think nowadays in our society, I think in our stubbornness and a lot of people think that they're always right. I think that it is. I think you can tell people and give them advice, and your advice from your expertise till you're blue in the face, and some people just and keep pieing off until it becomes catastrophic. In this day and age, I feel that people, it's almost like they need to be shocked before the pain pleasure scale in their life flips and they decide to take action. And hopefully it's never too late, but sometimes I think people do take action when it is too late. But mate, we have spent an absolute minute on this podcast, so I'm gonna.
That's flow state, man. That's flow state. Time flies when you're in flow.
I'm gonna say thank you so much for coming on today and spending time with myself, the listeners, again, giving us a lot of diamonds to take away, a lot of gold nuggets to take away and harness and put into their life and put into practice. And yeah, mate, like, it's an absolute pleasure again.
Hey, also to you, man. Like, we need to do this more often. Not a podcast or something, just catch up like this. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You take care, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, mate. Take it easy.